All right, let's just jump right into this one. Have you ever been on a plane, maybe looked out the window at the curve of the Earth, and just thought to yourself, why are we this high up? It's a fantastic question, and the answer, well, it's this awesome mix of engineering and physics. And yeah, the view from up there is incredible, right? But being that high up, it's not just for the photo ops. Nope, there's a really, really specific reason for it. Which brings us to the big question. Why that number? Or at least, why that general range, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 feet? Is it just some number they picked out of a hat? No way, it's not random at all. That altitude is what you'd call a sweet spot, and it's been chosen for some very good reasons. It's this perfect balancing act between physics, saving fuel, and of course safety. So let's get into what that really means. Okay, so the first big piece of this puzzle is all about the air, or maybe more accurately, the lack of air. See, the biggest enemy a plane has when it's flying is resistance. Drag. It's like trying to run through a swimming pool. It's a simple chain of events, really. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets, and thinner air means fewer air molecules for the plane to push out of the way. What does that equal? Less drag. And less drag is the golden ticket to amazing fuel efficiency. Remember that running through water thing? Well, flying up high is like getting out of the pool and running on a clear, open track. The plane is just slicing through the air with so much less effort. The engines don't have to burn nearly as much fuel to keep the plane moving at speed. And for airlines, that's a huge deal. It saves a ton of money and makes those super long flights possible. So, less drag is a huge win. But that's not the whole story. The second big reason is all about the engines. It turns out, high altitudes are basically an engine's happy place. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a minute, doesn't an engine need air to work? So wouldn't thinner air be bad? And you're not wrong. But here's the twist. It's all about the temperature. The air up there is crazy cold, and jet engines absolutely thrive on cold air. Why? Because it's denser, which means you get a much bigger, more efficient bang during combustion. It's kind of like giving the engine a turbo boost. More power, less fuel. So you see the difference, right? Down low, you're fighting through this thick, soupy air that creates tons of drag. But up high, that's where you find that magic combination. The air is thin enough to cut down on resistance, but it's also cold enough to let the engines perform at their absolute best. Okay, so we've got fuel efficiency and peak engine performance. Check and check. The third big reason, though, is all about you, the passenger. It's about getting a smoother ride by literally flying above the drama. And this is a really big one for your comfort. Think about it. Almost all the weather we experience, thunderstorms, big puffy clouds, bumpy wind, it's all happening way down below. By climbing up to 35,000 feet, the plane is basically just cruising right over the top of all that mess. Plus, you're way clear of any mountains, and you're not going to run into smaller planes which fly much lower. And the result of all that? Well, it's a much smoother, much more comfortable flight for everyone on board. It's also way safer and makes things a lot more predictable for the pilots. And there's another huge safety bonus here. Let's say, in the super, super unlikely event that an engine has a problem, being way up high is a massive advantage. It gives the pilots something incredibly valuable: time. More altitude means more time to glide, which means more time to figure out the issue, find a good place to land, and get everything ready. All right, so flying high is awesome for saving fuel, for the engines, and for a smooth ride. So that leads to a pretty obvious question, right? Why stop at 35,000 feet? Yeah, exactly. Why not just keep on climbing to 50,000 feet, 60,000? I mean, if thin air is so good, shouldn't even thinner air be better? Well, not exactly. This is where that sweet spot idea comes back into play. There's definitely a ceiling, and here's why. First off, lift. A plane's wings need air to push against to keep it flying. If you go too high, the air gets so thin that there's just not enough stuff to hold the plane up. Second, the engines. Yeah, they love cold air, but they still need some air. Go too high, and they literally can't breathe. And finally, think about the plane itself. The pressure difference between the comfy cabin inside and the near vacuum outside becomes enormous, putting a huge strain on the aircraft. So let's put it all together. You get that amazing fuel efficiency because of less drag. The engines are running at their absolute best in that super cold air. You, the passenger, get a much smoother ride because you're above all the bad weather, and the whole flight is safer because you're clear of obstacles and pilots have more time if they need it. It's that one altitude where everything just works. When you think about it, it's really an incredible feat of engineering, isn't it? That number isn't an accident. It's the result of tons of calculations to find the one precise spot where all these different factors line up perfectly to give us the safest, smoothest, and most efficient flight. So the next time you're on a plane and you see that little number on the screen, 35,000 feet, you'll know it's so much more than just how high you are. It's a symbol of that perfect engineered balance. The next time you're cruising up there, looking out at the clouds below, what are you going to see? I bet it won't just be a pretty view anymore. It'll be a masterpiece of physics and engineering, playing out right outside your window.